Let's bring on our first guest, our first panelist for the emerging conversations that you're part of. We run these every month. This is the professional burnout panel, in case you're looking for something else. Our first guest is Jessica Chance, class of 2000, Emerson alumna with a background in performing arts and writing and storytelling. And she's the associate director of the Emerson Career Development. Jessica supports fellow Emersonians not just find jobs, because we know that's not the whole point, is just to find a job, but to build meaningful careers. Where is Jessica? There she is. Jessica,
hello, everybody.
So glad you're here. All right. So excited. Next up, we bring on Karen Kartika. I didn't even ask her if I was saying that right. I hope I am. Karen,
you're saying it correct. Thank you.
Karen,
hi.
Class of 98. She is, listen to this, executive life coach. She has an MBA, works with high achieving individuals who want more impact with less time. She draws on modern neuroscience, psychology, and spiritual practices like breathwork and meditation, non-denominational, to create lasting change. She also serves as the CMO of Kaya.id, Indonesia's first small business incubator. Love that. Karen, thank you for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you. Honored.
Teresa is up next. My dear.
Hello.
Teresa Molito Connors, class of 05. She is a self-care, growth mindset, and trauma recovery expert and founder of Dr. MC's Self-Care Cabaret. Listen to this trajectory. So I love about Emersonians. They have such an interesting nonlinear path, right, in their brilliant careers. She graduated with theater studies degree, undergrad, master's in school counseling and psychology, and a PhD in educational leadership. But her main area of scholarship for that PhD was self-care. The woman's got a PhD in self-care. I mean, I love it. Could you do better? Teresa is also a speaker and a workshop leader, a media contributor, and has been cited on all kinds of high-profile podcasts and publications. And I'm Terry Despicio. I graduated with, I just forgot what year, because it was a master's in fine arts. I graduated with a degree in poetry, of course, because this is what poets do, right? Not. Talk about a weird path. And I'm the author of a brand new book, my first. And I went to Emerson hoping that one day I would write a book, and I did. It's called Unfollow Your Passion, How to Create a Life that Matters to You. And I serve on the alumni board for the Emerson Alumni Association. And I lead workshops and programs to help people share their work with the world, work with creative people and people who think they're not creative, because they actually are. So I'm ready to dive in with you. And we have so much to talk about. But first, I wanted to go to whomever of our panelists would like to share. Could you tell us a little bit about your own personal experience with burnout and kind of a turning point? Not that you all burned out and did it the same way, but tell me about what it's felt like. Let's go to you, Jessica.
Sure. So I think one of the things I think about is with burnout, for me, it was not this sort of lifetime television for women, like, slide down a wall and have a dramatic moment. It was sort of a cumulative series of little things that led to the burnout. And it was my back that told me it was time for me to slow down, because all I was doing while doing rehearsals, working full time, just juggling a lot of things, I reached over to turn the light on and I couldn't get back up. And I was already sort of having some of those physical, things that happen where your body's telling you, slow down, slow down. And that was the first moment I was like, okay, now I'm forced to slow down and to take care of myself. And that was like, if that wasn't a red flag, I don't know what is.
Yeah, your body will tell you, right?
Yes.
Teresa, you're saying the body sends the body will not be crossed or toyed with.
Nope.
It gets the last word, right?
Exactly.
Teresa?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Tell us about that. What about you?
Yeah. So for me, I found myself in a job that was rather intense. I was a guidance director in a therapeutic high school here in Massachusetts. And I was just finding it very difficult to separate myself from the work. I was taking a lot of it home with me and just finding it really difficult. And I went to my program director at the time and I said, help me out. Like, what's going on? And she said, you need to learn to not take it home with you. And I didn't understand what that meant. And she gave me no additional support or information, but it did send me on a path to kind of figure out what she meant. And that was kind of my first dive into the work of Deepak Chopra and Wayne Dyer. I had a long commute back then. And so I started getting every audiobook I could. And at that time, I thought self-care, this was just something special that I needed. I didn't realize what an issue that it was. And so that is actually what inspired me to want to dive even deeper and try to help other people with this.
Oh, thank God for Deepak, setting so many people on the path to recovery.
For real.
Thank you for that. And Karen, what about you?
Mine was a little bit like a lifetime movie moment. It was because I was in the 32nd floor penthouse office overlooking a beautiful Chicago River. And I said, wow, I hate my job. I don't really understand why I'm here. Like everything was perfect, but I still felt like I was crushed. And for a long time, I couldn't figure out what's missing until one day I said, you know what? There's got to be something else that I couldn't really see here, because everybody that I'm working with is in the same boat as I was, unhappy. We're all yelling at each other at meeting. We're blaming each other because like things are not moving. And, there's always something, and deadlines was never like 5 days a week. It's yesterday. And I'm like, gosh, what kind of life is this? Like, what kind of job can what is this? And I felt like there's got to be something else. And at that point, I took like a big leap and left that job without a plan, which was not a great idea. But I was glad I did it, because it opened up a different door that I could never think it was possible. But that was real. Like just the feeling itself, once I left the door, when suddenly all the weights that I've been carrying throughout that job was just like melting away. And I'm like, wow, I did not believe that this could possible. Yeah.
You felt different.
Yeah,
right away.
Absolutely.
That is a moment, right? You're looking at wherever you are, whether that means looking out over from 32nd floor or doing something that by all appearances looks wonderful. And you tell yourself, and I know you have, well, I should feel lucky that I'm here and I should be great. Look, I'm doing this cool thing. And yet there's this nagging and persistent sense that something is not right. And if you're in the middle of somewhere horrible, and everyone knows it's horrible, at least it's aligned. At least it makes sense. If you're in Ukraine, you're not happy right now. This is a very, very bad place. But when you're like, but I have every need taken care of and I have people who love me, but what's wrong? So my first question, and I'm going to toss it up to whoever wants to take it first on our panel. And I'd love to see some comments in the chat from those of you, how you feel about this too. Because I see a lot of heads nodding. I see Ryan sort of nodding. Melinda's like, I hear you. April, yep. Here's the question. Can you love your career? Love it. Not the moments we're talking about when you're like this job and we hate each other. Okay, that's one example Karen just gave us. Can you love your career and still get burned out? I ask this because there's a sense of, look, well, first of all, we know we're living through the Great Resignation, which will go down in history as the most people who have resigned from their positions since they, not only on record, but since they began keeping records. And so that's big. There's this idea, a lot of people are taking the time to leave jobs that are making them unhappy. Finally, they have this, I'm out. Fine, that's one. But what about the idea of, I love what I do and I love this work and I'm still out of juice? What say you panelists?
If I may answer on that one, because I just coached a client who's in that position, because she's totally happy in her job. She felt like she's making an impact, not just providing value for the company, but to a lot of people. But yet she's also feeling so stressed out and burned out. And when she came to me, she almost in the verge of, I'm just going to put in my resignation. This is not worth my health. Because at that point, just like Jessica was experiencing, she's starting to have health issue. But when we worked together and I keep asking the question, she still went back to say, I love this job. I did not want to, leave this. So then we looked at what's the other possible way to reduce the stress, to reduce the burnout, because for her, she felt like she has to do everything. She has to attend all the meetings. She has to take care of all that the boss told her to do. while in fact, she's just one individual trying to oversee like 5 departments. I said, it's inhumanly possible, it's not possible. Right. You know that, and you're already experiencing that. Your body's already telling you and screaming at you it's not possible. And yet you're still believing that's the only way. So I told her, look, you're a leader, so show your leadership as well. Talk to your leaders and say what needs to be done here. And she went back to the CEO, and finally they figure out how to reduce her workload and delegated all the meetings that she was not supposed to be in, so that her workload got more effective. And that, from then on, she's starting to reduce the stress. So it is possible to be in a job that you love and still experiencing burnout if you're not managing it properly. But once you just allow to be open to what's possible and talk to people who can help you, you can actually break through from that burnout.
Without absconding, right? Without totally leaving. Suzanne made a great point in the chat. She said, I think burnout is more insidious when you love your job because you want to keep giving. And there's a risk, but it's not even like they're making me, but they need me, they want me. Can you think of anything more valuable than to be valued by the people who need you? So it's very easy to say, no, but I can do more, I can do more. Jess, do you want to take that?
Yeah. It sort of makes me think about the double-edged sword of when you're really good at something. So I think, I'm naturally empathic. I love to listen. I love to use that to help people. And so there's this natural impulse to give, to open up sort of that channel to find out what's going on with people, how to help them when they're feeling stuck. And what ends up happening is you do so much of that you easily lose yourself in the process. And so I think, thinking about this whole burnout that I think a lot of people have experienced in the past couple of years, I mean, even using the work that we do at the Career Center, it's, we like hurried up and we're like, okay, there's this pandemic, there's a lot going on. We've got to go and help out everyone and do everything that we possibly can. And we did. And it was awesome. But I remember sort of as we're coming out, if you want to say towards the end of it, sort of that feeling of like, whoa, it's sort of that moment of feeling really run down. And so I think that, being really good at something, yes, has that double-edged sword of, okay, you give and you give and you give, but you do have to sort of say, okay, reset, recharge, pull back a little bit and get some perspective. And to something to what Teresa was saying is that self-care, without the self-care, you're not caring for anybody else. So.
Right, you can't do it. How many people, just by show of hands, have asked for help from the people above you? It's one thing if there are people, if you happen to work in a situation where there are people who report to you. I don't work and I work for myself and I work right from here. So I don't have that. But has anyone here asked for help above to say, listen, I need you to reprioritize. I can't do this all. Have you said no? Teresa, anyone else ever set boundaries and said, I can't do this, I need some help? Well, I'll tell you what, I don't see a lot of hands, and that's a problem because you're also here on a professional burnout call. So you seeing a causal link there? I am. Teresa, can you talk about what helps? Because we all hear the thing about boundaries, which of course we should talk about. Say like, well, you should set boundaries. It's like, are you going to tell that guy that you're not going to get it done? I mean, like, that's not easy. It's easy for someone to tell you to do, not easy to do. What are your thoughts on it?
Absolutely. So I definitely agree with what Karen and Jessica have also said, but it really becomes a mindset shift. Like you have to understand that you need to put your needs first, or you are not able to help others. And I laugh at some of the comments in the chat. I usually will say something along the lines of, when you're good at your job, you get to do other people's job too. That's always my favorite. So, but you really have to flip that script and take control of your own health and well-being. And it's hard, and you can start small, but you really have to get out of the mindset that self-care is selfish or self-care is a luxury. When we talk about the real definition of self-care, we're not talking about things that are expensive. We're not talking about things that are time consuming. We're talking about your foundation of how you show up in the world. And to make that shift is really critical. And I have gone to my superiors. I work in the education arena. So we're up, these are the ultimate helping professionals, teachers or givers. And, we want to do best for our students. And I have gone to my superiors and been like, this isn't working, not only for myself, but for my colleagues when I see it within them, that it's just, and there's a whole system there that we need to dismantle, but that's not what we're talking about tonight. So, but really focusing on and reminding superiors also that, just because some of us are showing up, it doesn't mean we're all not struggling, and being clear with that, because some people are taking extended leave or quitting or whatever, but so don't assume that the people that are still here are okay because they're still showing up.
Right. Don't assume because we didn't quit that we can handle more. Like we treat everyone like they're made of spandex. Like we're supposed to just expand around every new job, every new task. And we think it's a compliment if someone wants us to do more. Well, when you said mindset shift, there's two ways to look at it, at least. There's many ways, but there's the, oh no, I need to in order to prove myself, which is like, you won't be able to help anyone. You won't be able to do the job that you're most proud of doing if you literally hit a point where you get sick and cannot function, and any kind of sick. So we can't do that. But then there's this part that I'm willing to say it, I'll speak for myself, that gets a little egoic about it. Well, no, I have to be the one to do it. I'm the best at it. Like, please let me do this thing, especially since it's often for my own business or my clients. No, I have to do it. I have to do it. And then I was like, maybe part of my relief would be to get over my damn self and not think, oh, but I have to do it, because that doesn't serve either.
No. Right?
The statistics I meant to mention at the top. The American Psychological Association reports that levels of stress and burnout are up nearly 40% since 2019, with nearly 3 in 5 employees reporting negative impacts of work-related stress, including lack of interest, motivation, and exhaustion. And of course, the reason we're doing this now is April is Stress Awareness Month, right? And so this idea of, am I, stress and burnout? So I just want to also take a step back to define our terms, because you might feel stressed, you might be experiencing burnout, or you might have anxiety, right? Those are different things. But I wanted to ask Karen, how you see those things as different, because we sometimes use them interchangeably, but I could have a lot of stress and a lot on me that I have to get done and not feel anxious. And I could not feel anxious and still be burned out. How do you differentiate, Karen?
Yeah, well, the words itself been tossed around so easily that we often just can't differentiate anymore until something happened, right? Especially for high achievers, you ask them, are you need to slow down. You look like you're stressed out. And the first answer will be like, nope, I'm not stressed out. I'm okay. Until suddenly something happened, health-wise, or like they can't wake up one day, or they just demotivated and things like that. So for me, it's like when I'm a very physical person. So I notice in myself when I'm starting to get into that border of pushing it too much. And you're right, in our own business, right? We always want to, strive for the best. We want to be our best to serve our, clients and all that. And, but I noticed it myself, and this was also my burnout moment when I was going into creating my own business. It's like how much energy I'm putting in outside of me and how much actually I'm putting it inside of me. And when I start to notice, like, whoa, I'm putting a lot more and I haven't really bringing in, that's when I need to like, okay, we need to adjust it here. So for me, physically, it will feel like, work hours get extended. In my head, everything's running all about my business, nothing about nourishing myself, taking care of myself. And when I start to also notice that in order for me to finish my work today, I skip meals, or I choose to go for, for fast food, or I'm, eating and talking at the same time. And I start to notice when I get also like feeling a lot of emotion, disappointments, anger, and all that.
Yes, we saw that in the comments. Some people were saying same thing, that there's emotional sign, physical sign, and then
mentally
mental.
Gets like do nonstop. Like you feel like if you see that to those comics with like things that are blowing out steam from your ears. I can see some days that I'm like looking like that and I'm like, okay, I need to stop.
Well, actually, let's take a moment for that right now, because we have a whole group of people here right now who are probably experiencing one of those. Maybe on Monday, it's more of one thing. By Friday, it's another. You can put it in the chat, but it's even more important is to write it down for yourself. And you started to earlier, but can you write down for yourself one physical sign that you've noticed? With Jessica, was her back really went out and she knew. For other people, it might just be a physical exhaustion, actual feeling of tired versus, the kind of tired when you're tired, your brain is tired. A physical sign that you're maybe pushing too hard, an emotional sign, and a mental sign for yourself. Here's why. By the time someone else tells you you're burned out, it's not too late, but it's later than it should be. And if we don't leave here with, self-care is exactly that. No one's checking your batteries at night. There's no way to do that. We have to be able to check ourselves. So when I say, well, I have 2 hours worth of work, but I have 15 minutes left of attention, you don't get to power through. I think we're safely past those times when you say, Teresa, we're past that era of this kind of maybe 80s, even 90s, kind of like, yeah, we're going to push through. We're going to like,
oh, absolutely.
You're pulling it over all night. Or like something's wrong. Like you're not doing your job. It's not something, you're not doing your job taking care of yourself if you can't do it. Are we past that now? I mean, not that we're going to be all coddling ourselves, but don't we have to keep track of these signs and realize that you don't get to push against them?
I hope that we're heading past it. I mean, we still have some work to go, but society in general doesn't celebrate us for setting boundaries. We don't get a pat on the back for taking our paid time off. We don't get, whatever. We just don't get celebrated for that. Instead,
maybe we should.
Right. So we have to take the power back. You have the power and the ability to flip this, but you can't wait for somebody else to give you a pat on the back. Like, oh, you took your vacation day. Good for you. You have
no one cares.
Yeah. And like those statistics too, Terry and everyone, those are in the toilet also. Like taking your paid time off in this country has been declining steadily, and people don't take their time. That's there for a reason. You need that time to refuel and to fill your own cup. I know it's such a cliche, but it's very real. But instead, we get celebrated for burning the candle at both ends, for romanticizing the idea of busy, or, wearing it like some badge of honor. And that's just not good.
Well, why do we do that? Because we like being self-flagellating and, ruining ourselves? No, it's that way. Let's just zoom out for a minute. It's because industry rewards that. Right, we're falling on our swords that way because it's been rewarded, because it's what makes some people the most money. I mean, that's how that is set up. This is not one person's fault. This is a systematic problem.
100%.
But what's interesting now is that all of a sudden, no one can find people to take jobs in this huge exodus from roles, particularly in healthcare and hospitality, all that we know that it is starting to become in the workers' hands a bit, right? There's demand for people. They're having to do, hey, we'll give you a 4-day work week. You can work from home. You can do. Finally, the tides are turning a little bit, and people are demanding more. This could be the time to realize that you don't have to run yourself ragged to be employable. Just by show of hands. So how many people here are working in a traditional employment, W-2, have a job, are employed by someone? You either go in or you check in, there's a boss. And how many people are working for themselves right now and no one cares if you go anywhere? Okay, good. That's where you're at. Oh, Wayne's like, yeah, that's me. Either way, that, look, I know when you work for yourself, you're accountable to people. They're just not in a traditional structure.
Something else that I wanted to.
Go ahead, though.
No, go ahead. I was thinking is the messages that we hear as well. So it used to be work hard, play hard. That was a term that we heard a lot. And now the word hustle has kind of taken over. And
what do you think of that?
At first it sounded cool, like, yeah, hustle, side hustle, and I think the reality is too, like, we're Emersonians. We're all creative, doing a lot of different things. And I think that also is perfect breeding ground for burnout, but adopting that sort of hustle mindset, starting very early when, for a lot of young creatives, it just creates patterns and years of that behavior that has to be kind of detoxed in a way. But yeah, those messages like hustle culture, it's not healthy. And I think one of the things that I've started to do with the stress management is if I'm feeling staticky and antsy, or the things that used to not bother me, and it was just sort of like, whatever, not a big deal, that are really starting to annoy me, it's like, okay, let me sit down and actually ask myself what is going on, being honest with myself, to myself. And I think that's a starting point to really, start with that honesty and transparency with yourself.
I'm going to
all that external stuff.
Jess, I want to come back to you about another term I know bothers you. We're going to get to that in a second.
Sure.
It's so interesting. Someone said that they don't use the word hustle anymore. And there's something about the word hustle I actually like more than overwork and crushing and like grindstone, like words that feel hard. Hustle, I'm gonna say I kind of like. It doesn't trigger me, because hustle is like, do the hustle. Dun, 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 dun,
Okay.
Like hustle to me is a little bit of like, it's got a little swagger.
It's got a little groove,
It's got like, oh, I'm hustling. Like it makes me think if I'm hustling, I'm busy, but in badass pants. Okay.
Yeah, like that kind of
hustle. This is a great reframe.
This is a reframe for hustle. Because when someone says to me, oh, you work so hard and work too much, I'm like, oh, no, I don't. Like, I don't want that. I don't want that moniker. But when someone's like, one of my friends who I hadn't seen in a while, she goes, I've been watching you on Instagram because I was promoting my book. She's like, I see the hustle. I see you. And I was like, yes, please admire the hustle. Like, I'm okay with that. What I don't like is because hustle feels like could be light, but this idea, the grind, this idea that you have to go all out. And God, I see so many great comments. Please, you guys. Oh, also, we don't only have Emersonians here tonight. We have a lot of Emersonians, which I'm so thrilled. And we're going to be doing more of these events to make sure the Emersonians have a place to talk about these issues and to connect with each other. But also welcome to everyone who signed up, who were friends of mine, who were like, no, I'll go. So that's okay. The fact is, it doesn't matter what background, what industry you're in, probably you're doing more than you should. Let's talk though, first, let me go to Jess about another word, because the language we use about all this matters, right? Resilience. It used to be stress management, which was like moving chairs around on the deck of the Titanic. Like no one wants to manage stress. They just don't want it. But resilience, again, had a sexy edge because it showed strength and fortitude. But you're saying, I'm a little bit on that too. How come?
Yeah, it's kind of like how words get used so often. You hear a syllable or a word over and over and over again, and you say it like 50 times, and then suddenly it means nothing. And I feel like resilience, I guess in a different way, it's put on people when they go through a hardship, or when they're working really hard, powering through, pushing through, and they came out on the other side. There's a sort of Hollywood romanticized idea of like, working hard, pushing through, crushing it. And even though you're on your last leg, it's like this victory, when it doesn't have to be that way. I think about it in the context actually of women, but also women of color, that are told often, oh, you're so resilient. You go through so many hardships in the workplace, dealing with systemic oppression and racism and sexism and all of that. And it makes you so resilient. But it's like, there's a lot of things that get sacrificed along the way.
Oh, that which doesn't, like you said, that which doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Exactly. So you're going to keep trying to kill me and tell me it's a gift?
Exactly. Like, it's like, what kind of a mind trick is that? It's like, I shouldn't have to constantly be trying to survive. I should be thriving in this space. And so that's a lot of times what happens is that the word resilience gets, it's like you're getting this pat on the back for being resilient or for being strong. I'm sure some of you out there might hear about, the strong Black woman syndrome. It is a syndrome. And so it's just all of these words that are used that I think are just used incorrectly. And it's not about being resilient. It's just about, struggling, getting to it. But what are you left with at the end? You still want to be your whole self. You still want to have that hustle and that flow, as Teresa said. You don't want to be, well, I'm just going to be resilient, and what doesn't kill me makes me stronger. No, it might kill you, but it wears you the hell out. So,
well, you're saying, why are we glorifying the parts that are so hard? Because then we'll think that that's supposed to be what we do. So I want to be mindful of time. We've got some time left here, but I want to turn to tools because we have experts who are expert in tools. There are lots of different tools available. In fact, there's an entire industry. I would say cottage, but it's not even it's too big for it to be a cottage anymore. Industry around selling you subscriptions, products, courses, lots of different things. And there's nothing wrong. This is what our culture is built on. You sell something of value and you make money doing it. Great. I'm happy. I'm so happy to tip massage therapists heavily. I'm happy to do all those things because I'm getting something from it. And I want to preface this by saying not everyone likes or wants to use the same tools. And so I want people to leave here with, now what do? We took inventory a little bit of like, here's the things I know happen to me when I get close to burnout so that we're all aware and responsible for them, right? Now let's talk tools. Can you share one of your favorite tools that people here could leave tonight going, oh, I'm going to try that. That could help bring what Karen said, pull some of the energy back into us so that we have some to give. Who wants to start?
Yeah, I love that. I'll jump right in if that's okay. There's so much you can do. And Terry, what you were describing about, those subscriptions and courses and whatever, that's actually the commodification of self-care. And you don't actually have to spend any money to practice really good self-care. You are equipped with it and with the ability to do it. I know Karen can probably talk about this more, but even just basic deep breathing, wildly underutilized, highly, highly effective. Just a few rounds in through the nose. And here's a pro tip: make your exhale longer than your inhale. That actually helps activate your parasympathetic nervous system, which is your rest and digest response, the opposite of your fight or flight. Everyone right now's fight or flight is a little engaged. We're a little heightened for various reasons. So really making those exhales longer can bring a sense of calm over you almost immediately. And just a really wildly underutilized, free, quick, efficient, can do it anywhere.
And it's a count of, I've heard different ways, but there's a million kinds of breathing, right? By the way, but you
Absolutely.
say inhale for a count of 4, exhale for a count of 6, for instance, like longer on the out, that's fine.
Whatever feels good. If you want to, close your eyes, lower your gaze, place a hand on your chest, like whatever feels good, like you get to decide. You get like, when I do my workshops, a real
biological effect.
Yes. I always tell people like my workshops are like a self-care buffet. Like I'll give you all these things, but you, at the end of the day, you have to choose what's going to work.
And you have to use them.
Yeah. Well, yes.
Use it and use it. It doesn't do much good sitting there on a list of my to-do list. Breathe.
No.
You have to actually do it. Karen, what's one thing that you'd say, I wish people would try this? It's so helpful.
Yeah, breath work. That was one practice that I started when I was building my business, was because it gave me that sense of peace and calm right away. And even as we were going through your life, I mean, again, there's so many methods of breathing, but we often forget that our breath is we don't even think about breathing anymore, right? But when we're in stress or when we're going through life, we don't even breathe in a capacity that our lung has to provide. So we often going through life in a very low capacity. That's why we get tired. We don't feel fully alive because we're breathing very shallowly. So even like a quick break, like what Teresa was showing, that will just refresh our whole being to be able to like take a breath and then letting all go again, and just like everything is come back. So that's my go-to. But more and more, I'm also putting in more intention on my the daily mental activity, like what I'm bringing into my own thoughts, as well as what I'm bringing into my physical, because I been in a very always highly going and moving environment. That's one thing that I'm always lacking, is that how I'm nourishing myself. Not so much on the exercise. I love exercising, I love walking, but then I don't balance it with just like, what am I putting in? Like, I will just go for something that's quick, right? So I'm being more conscious now to also, taking care of myself more than just like the self-care, but really taking care of myself from the perspective of that.
Jess, what about you? Thanks, Karen.
Yeah, so I would say actually, and I say this to myself as I say to everyone out there, if you haven't had any water yet, drink a glass of water.
I am sucking this down and I have to go to the
Yes,
bathroom
that's
every 2
good.
seconds.
Right here, I'm not
Yes.
marketing smart water. I
Yeah.
just happen to have a bottle of it right here. But
Here, yeah.
hydration, I mean, I really think that like over half of us walk around just perpetually dehydrated. You know, sometimes I'll feel crappy during the day and then have a glass of water and be like, oh, okay. You just need to hydrate. Like that's part of it. I mean, going back to my back, this was probably earlier this year. I was in a Zoom call, and this is like, you know, one of the benefits of Zoom is I was looking at myself in the camera as I was talking to, I think it was a student or an alum, and I saw my shoulders. And I was like, oh. I was like, wait a minute, this isn't comfortable. And you can be so in your head and thinking so much that you literally have no idea from the neck down what your body is doing. And so I was like, okay, you know, and so I thought about those theater exercises from many, many years ago where you're holding your arms in the air and then you slowly just drop them. And I just did that because I was like, if I'm doing this during the day, no wonder there's so much tension up here. So hydrate and just pay attention to what you're doing.
People, we're talking some real simple tips you can do. Air and water. It doesn't get more free than that. I'm just telling you, air and water, and a shift in the mind to say, these are simple things. We are animals that are mostly made of water. And we have these big, beautiful lungs and we barely use them. And then we let ourselves like kind of shrink up and dehydrate because we're busy doing other things, because we keep thinking of our bodies as the horse we rode in on, and that's it. I mean, we all do it, but it's really, really, it's so fantastic to hear this. Another thing that you might want to look up later and follow the instructions or download. There's a million different apps and exercises that do make tools doable, right? They make them real easy. Progressive muscle relaxation, right? Teresa and Karen, you guys, where you tighten one set of muscles and relax them. What does that do? Gets you out of your head. I'm always saying, get out of the corner office and walk around this whole body, this whole thing that we're ignoring. Because when you feel yourself, even the way we describe it, I got short, got irritated, I feel contracted, I feel tired, all those things, even though they are physical, emotional, psychological, they are physical. All of the things start in the body. So a big takeaway here is you want to take care of the body, then pay attention to the body, right?
Well, can I share one of my favorite, can I share one of my favorite quotes?
Yeah, please.
I'm like, I did not come up with this. I just want to say that, but I don't know who it's attributed to, and I've looked and I can't find it. So if anybody can find it, I'd be happy to know, but it says author unknown anytime I've looked. Anyway, when you listen to your body, when it whispers, you won't have to hear it scream.
Oh God.
Those little pains. I mean, Jessica talking about that back pain starting, and you know, that was dis-ease in her body trying to tell her something. Those little manifestations of pain are generally a larger message.
Yeah. Yes. Can we talk? We have to talk about this, you guys. We have to, because it's the air we breathe, speaking of breathing. But I know you're all going to get like, meh, when I say it, but social media is part of our lives. It's not even social media. It's just media. Our experience on the planet is mediated by ones and zeros, right? We're on it. We're not on it now. Well, this is different, but our lives are very digitized. I know, and we all know, that social media and the consumption of it can tank our moods and our self-esteem and everything else. I don't think we need to talk, I mean, we do, but I don't think anyone needs convincing of that. However, the idea that you're going to just turn it off and go off the grid is also not an option for a lot of us. Tell me this, when we go on TikTok, let's just hypothetical, maybe go and lay down at night and you're like, don't have the attention to read, but I'm gonna just scroll a little bit. I have gotten into the habit within the past year, 6 months, a year, of really loving my 20 minutes of TikTok, where I just vroom, vroom, and I feel happy or I feel sad or a little scary. Like, I find it really thrilling and it doesn't make me feel bad about myself. Am I putting myself in trouble? Teresa.
I mean, I think it depends what media you're consuming. So if you're noticing it
mainly
makes
cats.
Cats are fine. I love cat videos. I spend a lot of time myself looking at cat videos, and I can't wait for Terry's kitty to have her on Instagram.
Yes.
You guys, have to follow. I'm getting a kitten tomorrow. Wait, by the way, we'll talk about animals as stress relief too, because
that's an important piece. But I think you have to be careful who you're following. Like for me, if I'm in recovery for disordered eating and exercise bulimia, interest of full disclosure. So if I start seeing people that, are over, maybe, I don't know, if depending upon what they're peddling, if they're talking about dieting and just things that I know are not like healthy for me to see in my own healing journey, unfollow, block, report, hide this ad.
Yes. Curate.
So,
you're talking about curating.
Yes. So it depends. I think it can be really helpful, Terry, in the way you're talking, like kitty videos, sure. Or like silly. I like those boys that are always dancing there. The ones from they were on Ellen. I can't think of the kid's name, anyway, that stuff, that's entertaining. That's different.
Okay. And then I don't I want to hang on a second. Yes, we have to also do it. People do like muscle testing. They like check their body to see how they're feeling about this thing. You can watch and look at some of the social media you look at. And it might be a matter of being like, does this make me hate myself? Yeah. Like, because if it does, and no, like we don't have time to get sucked into things we don't like, but you can curate. I get lazy. I let things flow toward me that are not great. But if we curate it, then we can decide what we pay attention to. And I think what I'm coming away from this is that a lot of burnout can happen to anyone, but there's an element of choice and control that we have to insist that we shore up our reserves and that we aren't allowing the world to suck us dry, which it will. Now, we got some questions in during registration. I have these questions here, but I want to see by show of hands or in the chat, is anyone here who submitted one of those questions? Because I kind of want to make sure that people here have to. Amanda, would you come off mute and share your question with us? I want to make sure we give the people here the chance to ask it. Hi, Amanda.
Hi. All right. So my question is, if you are a sole proprietor and don't have employees, how do you set yourself up to go on vacation and not feel stressed or anxious, or even like logging off for the night when there is nobody else to pass responsibility to?
I have thoughts, but I'm going to defer to my panelists first. If anyone here is running their own shop, Teresa, Karen. Karen's like, I don't ever take breaks. I just breathe and I multitask.
And I breathe that's it exactly. That's my break. It's my breathing. That's it. No, I'm actually taking a lot of breaks.
How do you do it?
Prioritization, time management. Again, have to determine what your value, like what are you creating, what's important to you. Like it can't be everything, right? I know that sometimes we want to always strive for the best and giving more and be more and all that, but at what cost? Because if we are not taking care of ourselves, then whatever that we're putting out is not going to be 100%. So at the end of the day, I don't know how far you are in your business, but you have to start to see it as a business. Yes, it's solo purpose, you're doing it solo right now, but if you're starting to have good enough income, and then you can start to delegate hiring some, because there are a lot of people that can be hired nowadays on online, that, you can name it from like low cost to high cost, doing all kind of things, especially delegating the things that suck up your time the most, which most probably is the one that you don't like doing anyway, because it takes you a long time to do, right? For me, it's social media. It's like, content creator. So like, I'm looking now for people that I can hire to help me in that direction. So start to see your hours, like which one that you really truly enjoy, and that you really still want to do, and which area or which task that you can start delegating. I think that will be a best
Amanda, I'm going to pop in with a friend of mine just published a book that I listened to, the audiobook, and I was like, you're changing my life. And this is a free plug because it is, I was like, oh, that's not for me. And when I listened to it, I was like, yes, it is. It's called Free Time. It's by Jenny Blake. She used to work at Google. She's super brilliant. Lose the busy work, love your business. She talks about working with delightfully tiny teams, and that is me, and that is you. My life changed when and I don't have any employees. My life changed when I spent just a little more than I was comfortable with, just a hair, just enough to make me perk up, to hire someone to help with the stuff I could not get my brain around. Because just because you run your own business never meant that you were supposed to do everything. And if you are like, I could never hire anyone to help, I'll tell you right now, you're not charging enough. Because no one starts their own business to go, I'd love to live hand to mouth forever. You do it so you call the shots. And so this woman will inspire you simply because she blocks off the time. This is how I spend my time. I don't do meetings before 11. She takes 1 week a month, no calls. You know how she does that? She charges for the other calls and makes sure that it's a business, not, oh, me doing housework for clients, unless housework is the job. But even then, you're not going to work every single day. So I cannot emphasize enough that the goal is not to earn just enough to pay for electricity, cat food, and something for you to eat. It's got to be that you ask for and earn the money with an eye toward making sure you don't have to do it all the time, because you shouldn't. And take it from someone who also works like a lot, probably a little more than I should. I am starting to let go of some of this work, because otherwise you will burn out. And then who's going to earn the money? Not you. So it's something to think about. Cassidy had a question for us. Where's Cassidy? Cassidy, we'd love to hear it. She's not here.
Sorry.
Oh, hi, there you are. Hello.
I just had it up on my notes app right here.
And by the way, we do have students here tonight. This is an all ages issue, right?
Yeah, okay, here it is. I graduated last May, so I've been like graduated for almost like a year now, which is kind of scary. And like this whole time I have been like working like side like jobs, like teaching jobs or retail jobs, just to like pay the rent and stuff. And like I have been like applying to things for like almost like a year now. So I just like, I guess like my question, like I wrote down, I said like how do you keep your head up and have the motivation to keep applying for the job that you want, while at the same time like still following your passions on the side without feeling burnt out and not feeling like lower self-worth from all the job rejections and stuff?
Oh God,
that's been like really hitting me.
Yes, Cassidy, I feel you. Jess has got an answer for you.
Yeah, it's definitely, at times a long game of looking, networking, researching, interviewing, waiting some more, and then getting no. And there is such a thing as job search burnout. And so I think that's something to be aware of too, if you're feeling a little bit more self-doubt than you used to, if there's any negative self-talk, if you're feeling, more discouraged or not doing as much, job searching as you used to. So part of it is just paying attention to what might have shifted for you, since you graduated. Know that you are absolutely not alone. There are a lot of recent grads, and you're still a recent grad. Sometimes there's this idea when we walk across the stage, we have the degree, we're an alum. It's like, okay, where's the job, and it can take time, it can take months. And so, part of that is patience. Part of that is surrounding yourself with people that are going to be the cheerleaders, the folks that will hold you accountable, the folks that will also say, hey, you know what, I think you probably need to take a break. Because sometimes, you might be doing a lot. And so sometimes you do have to pull back and do some of that intentional self-care so that you can get back in there, and start looking again. I think, it's important to also think about the time you're spending just to have conversations. There's a lot of, life-giving conversations that you can have with people. Like today, we had this great Future Ready event for our soon-to-be grads, for our students, and just some of the conversations and the ideas that were flowing were just great. And so sometimes you just need to have those conversations. And this is where I will plug Emerge, because there are a lot of alum that as you're sort of in that waiting game and feeling all that self-doubt and some stress and some anxiety, again, there is the differences. As you're experiencing that, you need to know that you're not alone, and talk to people that can help you reframe. because
Yeah,
it's
thank
just
you for
been
that.
you. And if you're feeling a little
Yes.
isolated and it's just been you in that job search, it's very easy to, just that echo chamber. So start sharing and talking to more people, and that can help refill you.
Yeah.
Yes. Cassidy, I'll weigh in and just say, applying for a job and applying for this job and another job, it feels like, oh my God, everyone's just rejecting me. They might not have been a fit for you either. This is not,
Exactly.
I'm a young person and anyone can give me a job, I guess I'll just take it. No, and no, that is not the goal. But there are many ways to find a job. And when you apply, you have that muscle going, but you're multidimensional. And a lot of, well, I'll take a piece of Twyla Tharp's wonderful advice. Where you'll be 5 years from now is very largely dependent on the books you read and the people you meet. She didn't say, and the jobs you apply for. It doesn't mean you don't apply for jobs, but what are you reading that's going to feed you and your insights? Well, when you go on the job interviews, you'll be able to reference things that you've read and you'll also open up your mind. But also, as Jess said, first of all, for any Emersonian on this call who is not on Emerge, what are you doing exactly? We just launched this whole digital network only for Emersonians. It's at Emerge. Are you on there?
Oh, sorry. I'm actually, my twin went to Emerson, but I went
oh my gosh. Okay,
I went to Pratt Institute, but they don't really
well,
have.
look, they would love you to
like
talk
that.
to them get their alumni resources, but thank you. But I'm still glad that you've given me the opportunity to just say this for a second, which is for those of you who did graduate from Emerson or go to Emerson, go to emerge.emerson.edu. You're already a member. You just plug in answer some questions, you get your profile up. Ginny here will be approving you to be in there. And then there are people posting jobs and people to reach out to. Now, if you didn't go to Emerson, my advice is the same. It's not just applying for the jobs, because by the time that job has reached a public place where you've seen it, everyone's applying for that job. The key is going to be meet people, talk to them. And you're not applying when you go, someone introduces you to their aunt and you're going to go to lunch with her aunt. You're not going to be like, well, it's not a job interview. Let's get to know people. Because if I have lunch with someone, I like them. What are you interested in again? Oh, let me see if I know someone. Boom. All of a sudden, you don't even know where a job could come from. But the relationships will carry you forever. A job posting is ephemeral. It's up, it's gone. Focus on those relationships. It's everything.
Thank you.
Thank you. Someone else who put in a question earlier at registration and would like to share one, please just take yourself off mute, wave your hand so I can see you. I've just got a few minutes left. Well, let me just look at, did someone have her hand up? Jenny, tell me if someone has their hand up. Should you communicate burnout? We did talk about that. Listen, also, I will say this, there's no shame in the game of making money. You need to make money. And because you mentioned following your passion, I'm going to have to mention it. You don't have to follow it quite the way you think you have to find really fulfilling work. So don't think that that's the only way to do it. My panelists, before we go, I want you to know how to find these people. First of all, they're all on Emerge. You go find you look up their names and you go find them on there. But I want to go first to Karen. Let's go to Karen and then Teresa. Where would you like people to find you? Let's put it in the chat.
Okay. Should I put it in the chat as
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. So my Instagram handle is SparkFesta. And actually I have a freebie for everyone tonight. So if you want to try my method of breath work, I'm putting up the link here. You just go to that website and there will be links to attend any of my breathwork. There are about 3 classes during the week. But if breathwork's not your jam, if you're looking for some meditation or guided meditation tools, I also have a few that I'm listed there for you to at least get self out of the burnout, because once you're out of it, you get some peace and calm and clarity. You'll be able to do everything and anything that you want in your life.
Sparkvesta.com/freebie. Thank you, Karen. You're a love. I'm so glad I got to meet you.
Yeah, same here.
Know you. I knew Teresa already. And guess where I found Teresa, you guys? Emerge. And now we're like friends. We know what's going on. Teresa, tell us, where's the best place to find you? Where do you want people to go?
Yeah. So Instagram would be great at DRMC, Dr. MC, self-care. I share lots of tips and information. Every morning I've been jumping on stories, and the stories you can kind of catch like a quick 1 to 2 minute. I usually try to like give a tip or reminder for the day, and you can even go back and see the shared like Dr. MC check-ins in the morning. There's like weeks in there for you if you starting now. And also if folks want to go to my website, you can go to drmcselfcare.com/resources. And I too would love to share a reference sheet with you from tonight with some information about self-care and maybe a couple links to things I think would be fun for you to listen to. My recent Nike interview, actually I do like a 5-minute body scan meditation during that. And I see some people were interested in body scan meditations. Mine's a little bit different. And it's really quick. It's quicker than most of them. And we want that efficiency for sure. So I'd love to connect with folks that way.
Fantastic. And Jess, where can people find you?
Yes, well, we are right here, 216 Tremont, the Career Development Center. I think that the best way to sort of follow us is Instagram. Our comm manager is doing an incredible job with TikTok, actually, and also a lot of our videos. It's ECCAREERDEV. For the Emerson College Career Development Center. And I can put it in the chat too, if you could forget some of the letters. But yeah, and also we're on CareerBuzz, careerbuzz.emerson.edu. And that's another place where you'll definitely be able to find me more directly from our site. So, and yeah, we normalize the career search after college. All of you have resources for life.
Oh, it's amazing.
Emerson alum. You're
Emerson alum do. Yes.
Yeah.
I am at T Trespicio. You're going to want to watch the cat feed because I'm getting a new kitten. There's going to be a lot of kitten stuff. I want to also give a shout out to Emerson Week, May 1st through the 8th, which is a week-long online celebration of all things Emerson. There are also, so you got to check that out. Several of the Emerge industry groups will have virtual meetups. So go through Emerge and you'll see there's lots of places where you can connect with people from wherever you are. I will put on, I'll pop this in here. Unfollow your, Ginny, I have it defaulting to you. Hang on. Unfollowyourpassion.com is if you're interested in the book. If you log in there and put in where you got it, then you get all these other freebies, and also would love to have you on my list too. And here's a little freebie for you too. You guys, thank you so much for coming. This was fantastic. I love being able to talk to you. I could have done it for easily another hour just listening to your questions. I want you to know that you were seen and heard here today. That's why I made you put your camera on so I could see who was here. Thank you to our panelists, Jessica Chance, Teresa Molito Connors, and Karen Kartika. Thank you to Ginny for helping run it, and Kayla behind the scenes. You guys are all a bunch of sweethearts. Keep an eye out for other events are happening. And if you wish that we did an event about a certain topic, please let us know at emerson.edu. You can contact us that way too. Thanks, guys. Please go and take care of yourselves and do whatever you need to do. Take a bath, use expensive moisturizer, watch TikTok, do whatever you must. Fill up that bucket of energy and take it back into your work. Thanks, guys.